Hello, happy Sunday. Hope you're having a grand day. Oh, good, I titled this wrong. Lessons. The title is supposed to be Lessons from Saturn. Hi, welcome. Hello. The title is supposed to be Lessons from Saturn, not lessons. Okay, we have a lot to dive into here. I just had the impulse, the inspiration to come on and talk about Saturn, which is such an important topic when it comes to us being on this earth, because Saturn is a planet ruled by Capricorn, and Capricorn is an earth sign. And Saturn, I think, in ways our society has been sticking to maybe the toxic sides of Saturn or excessive Saturn. I feel like we've had a little bit too much Capricorn energy in terms of like what our world is made up of and functioning like. And by that, I mean, I was reflecting, I was in the gym earlier today and I was thinking about how money and how it's been so. The reason was I was watching Border Patrol. I think that's what it's called, which is a show that shows borders between at Toronto Airport and Vancouver land crossing. And if you come into Canada, you have to declare if you are carrying more than $10,000 worth of money in Canadian. And anyway, so I was just reflecting on that and I'm thinking like, wow, we've really got to a place where every single transaction should be documented in some way. Like when you do your taxes, and if you're a business, you have to you can't just hire someone for cash because that's not right, I guess. Like everything has to be so documented and so sort of controlled. And that's kind of this that's just one example of, say, not Saturn specifically, but Capricorn energy, where we have all these structures in place to make sure everything's in order. And, not every country is the same. Not every place on earth is the same, but it's, I just kind of reflect on what if we did things differently? And, Saturn moving through Aquarius, Saturn came in conjunction with Pluto December of 2019 and then moved through Aquarius beginning in March of 2020. Okay, so Saturn moving through Aquarius kind of woke us up to, how can we break through some of the structures that we have in our society. So when you look at Saturn moving through Aquarius since March of 2020, most people on the earth can sort of have a general. We had a bit of a situation on planet Earth, right? March 2020, lockdowns, lockdown. Think of that control structure, you can't leave your house. Literally, I had days here where we weren't supposed to leave our house, and it was like, what the actual fuck? But anyway, so Saturn moving through Aquarius is kind of just showed us, okay, we need to break through some of these structures that we have here, because Aquarius is about breakthroughs and doing things differently and innovation and change. And Saturn's I'm trying to maintain the old, but we got to do things new. It was a very odd energy, not to mention while Saturn was moving through Aquarius, it was squaring Uranus and Taurus. So we had just double Earth meets double Uranus energy, which is breakthrough, breakdown. Pluto's a whole situation in this, but nonetheless, okay, reflect on sort of what was going down in your life since March 2020. What area of your life was most impacted? And considering Saturn, which really means Saturn is about discipline, it's about structure, it represents authority, it represents authority is a big one. it can also, in the best way, be this sacred self-responsibility. How were you applying yourself as the authority of your life? It can rule like sovereignty in that way. So, yeah, we had a lot of reflections, a lot of lessons, a lot of insights, and everyone's life got impacted differently while Saturn moved through Aquarius. Depending on your personal chart, there's specific life areas that would have been impacted. And it's it's wild. So, okay, so Saturn, maybe I'll have a bit of a personal touch here. So if you have Saturn in Aquarius, you just moved through your Saturn return. Everyone was impacted by Saturn moving through Aquarius, but especially those with Saturn in Aquarius. So those of us who have Saturn in Aquarius, probably born between, I believe it's like June 92 to like December 94, something like that, somewhere in that region. This has been a heavier shift. We are waking up. So though I believe that those that have Saturn in Aquarius, it depends on what else is happening in your chart too, but it's like we're really here to do things differently. Like we don't really like being told what to do. And Saturn in Aquarius in its own way doesn't like being told what to do. And then while we had Saturn moving through Aquarius on a collective level, we were told what to do. So it's like because we all have this personal impact of certain transits and planets and things that are happening. And then there's the collective. And it's kind of this dance, and like, where do you want to be? Where do you want to position yourself? How do you want to show up with these certain transits? And I want to talk about where Saturn is going. Okay, so we want to reflect on where it's been and where it's going. Saturn was, so March 2020. Okay. How do you see authority now? Do you have connection with your own inner authority? What changes are you committing yourself to make yourself better? And not better that like there's anything wrong with you, but just maybe more connected to yourself. Maybe there's areas of your life that you put discipline into, or that you want reflecting on. You're like, I'm going to put some discipline into this area of my life because Saturn rules discipline. It rules patience. It rules time. And Saturn in its best, like, this is not like shame on Saturn. Saturn is like my favorite planet for so many reasons. And I'll talk about my story in a moment. But so Saturn, we have, like I said, so we've kind of been in this weird overly Capricorn, overly Saturn, like toxic traits of Saturn for probably the better part of 200 years. Now, I think that this particular Saturn transit that we just moved through March 2020 was actually a new tone of Saturn. And that is because if we reflect on December 21st of 2020, Saturn and Jupiter came together at 1 degree of Aquarius. And this is so important. The first degree of any sign is like, literally, there's 29 degrees in every sign. When Jupiter and Saturn come together at 1 degree, it's like from here on out, we are imprinting ourselves at this first degree, and it will carry forward through the rest of the degrees of the sign. And so it's the most ambitious, fresh, new energy of Aquarius. And the fact that Saturn and Jupiter came together is kind of setting a tone for, apologies, my phone died there for a second. It's kind of setting a tone for what's coming. In addition, Pluto moving into Aquarius. But when Saturn and Jupiter came together at December 21st, 2020, what was happening? What was up in your life then? What were you considering? Any insights, wisdom, like what was going down? Jupiter is the planet of wisdom and truth and expansion and opportunity. And I think that's such beautiful. Okay, we have a new moon in Aquarius coming up at some point here. I believe it's like, hold on. Yeah, next Saturday. So this is just perfect. There's a new moon coming up next Saturday at 1 degree of Aquarius. And this is kind of revisiting a little bit of that energy of December 21st, 2020. So Saturn and Jupiter set a new tone of Aquarius. And what is Aquarius? Aquarius is innovation and change and breakthroughs and authenticity and community and equality and humanity and you being your best version of yourself. Your most authentic, most pure. I'm doing things my way, and it's actually in truth, in connection with my truth, and I'm committed to that. That's Saturn and Jupiter, committed to you and your connection and your authentic expression, your ideas, the inspiration that's coming through for you to benefit the collective. Okay, so we have a new moon coming up January 21st. So 1 week away, the end of this week. Beautiful, 1 degree of Aquarius. So I think it's so beautiful that we're talking about this right now. So I think that yes, Saturn was moving through Aquarius. We had definitely some rough go. It was like things are changing, things are shifting, but then that like extra Capricorn energy was like, nah, we're still gonna hold you in this like pattern, and we're gonna try to hold on to the old ways of doing things. But the old ways of doing things are falling; they're going away. So. And how do we know that? Because there's so much, there's enough like quote unquote problems going on and maybe chaos that it's like, it's because this stuff is coming to the surface. Shadows are coming to the surface. Not to mention we have the South Node in Scorpio. That's a whole other conversation. We want to focus on Saturn here. There's just so much. There's so much here. Okay. So reflecting on your life since literally March 20th, 2020. What changes have you made? Like I said, what are you committed yourself to? Do you feel more connected to your sort of authentic self, or do you feel more disconnected? And either way, it's just a moment to reflect. Like this isn't a perfect linear path. But it's hopefully this message lands for someone somewhere that because Saturn in its highest expression is like really seeing yourself in this sort of exalted like leader of your own life energy. We all have that capability, whether you're like someone who's quiet, likes to be more behind the scenes, like you can still speak up for yourself. You can still set your boundaries. That's the Saturn theme. You can still be like, boundaries and flexible. And that's what we're going to talk about with Saturn moving into Pisces in just a moment. But it's like, so where this is coming from, my story, I'm moving through my Saturn return. It is almost over. Saturn moves into Aquarius. I think it's March 7th. Saturn moves into Pisces March 7th. And that's like a full 3 years. And I personally had a heftier transit, meaning that my Saturn and my moon are together in Aquarius, like this. And then Saturn came around and double whammied, like, okay, so it's going over my Saturn, that's one thing. And it's going over my moon, that's another thing. And then on top of that, it's making a really exact and hard alignment to my sun. And your sun and your moon is it's the light of your soul. It's your internal world. It's like you, and then like you on the inside as well. So my whole me, my values, how I felt in myself, was so shook up. Very personal, heavy personal transit, very internal. Literally feel like I've been living in a cave for the last 3 years. But I've like found such I found like my voice, my values, my true expression. And doesn't mean it was easy. Saturn's really can feel like, you have to have patience, you have to have time, you have to really commit yourself to yourself. So for those who have Sun in Pisces, listen up, or any other major planets in Pisces, any planets in Pisces, really. This is going to be when Saturn moves into Pisces March 7th. This is going to be a beautiful 3-year transit of you getting so real with yourself, like looking at yourself. Like Saturn is like, let's get real. Let's find the facts. Let's find the truth. Let's build. Let's get things together. Let's commit. Let's do this. So if you've got major planets in Pisces, it's worth noting. This is going to be such a beautiful transit. let's talk about Saturn moving through Pisces as a general for everyone, because we're all going to be affected. Everyone's got Pisces in their chart. It's just going to be a different area of life that's affected. Now, I am hosting a Saturn and Pisces workshop, which you can sign up for on my website. It's just a wait list. I haven't released all the details just yet, but we're going to dive even deeper. But as a collective, Saturn moving through Pisces. Okay, so we want to consider what Pisces is. Pisces is connection to all that is. Pisces is very ethereal. Pisces is being able to feel and sense and connect to oneness, if you will, or the universe. It can be Pisces in its, shadow side, I guess, can be feeling lost in all the emotions or all the goings on. It can be easily overwhelmed. So while Saturn moves through Pisces, I think we are all going to get in touch with our emotions in a new way, get in touch with our sensitivity in a new way, get in touch with our intuition in a new way. And the reason I say new is because Saturn is really about building and about, it's almost like, I come back to the word truth, which Saturn's about realness. It's about the manifestation. And I think that we're going to really feel on a tangible level what this oneness is, what our emotions are like, what our intuition feels like. This is about consciousness. And Saturn, for some of us, it depends, but I can see this manifesting as even more confusion in ways, because Saturn can also represent challenge. But challenge is always an opportunity for growth. And I think if the more we can spread the Saturn message, I tell you, like, it's worth knowing that, okay, even if we're getting confused, which is a Pisces theme, we're confused by things, we're not sure, we're not feeling grounded. Maybe we're feeling disconnected. Like, Pisces is really about getting lost. So we're moving through challenges of Pisces themes. We're moving through these challenges of Pisces themes, but we're going to learn through these challenges. So this is where I think committing yourself to understanding what truth and sort of your connection to oneness or to the universe is. We all have a different sort of pathway to that, but it's always available to all of us. So I think if through this transit, if we can find even 5 minutes a day to understand, finding a teacher too, because Saturn can rule a teacher or a leader. So finding, say, honestly, it sounds kind of cliche, but like a spiritual teacher or someone that you feel is providing information that feels resonant. It's so hard though, right? Because because I think I'm sensitive. I'm sure a lot of people on here are as well. But we can get sort of hypnotized, right? This is kind of a theme. So Mars I just talked about this on another live, but Mars was just retrograde in Gemini. And I think Mars was sort of priming us to get our focus right. Because I think when Saturn moves into Pisces, we can be easily sort of hypnotized by whatever it is, information so it's worth just finding somehow what is my truth, what feels really, really true to me, what is my resonance with myself, with my beliefs, with my knowing. This is about knowing. This is about intuition. And when you know, but then it's hard, right? Because then like something will come in and you're like, well, that kind of feels true. And then you kind of have like this dance in your mind and you're like, oh, I'm not really sure what to believe right now. So I can see that happening, but ultimately, the beautiful thing that Pisces teaches us, a lesson from Pisces, like literally Saturn too, it rules like lessons, right? And teachings. A lesson from Pisces is compassion and unconditional love. So when we have moments of confusion, pick a word, pick a mantra, pick something that is your anchor to come back to. Tattoo it on your face if you have to, but like something that I always like, any sort of spiritual teachings, I think at the root of it often is love, right? I think we've heard that like love is life, love is like at the end of the day, like it's like the most powerful frequency, right? It's what like nature and just like love and bliss and ecstasy, right? So if you can come back to a word in these moments where you're feeling lost and confused, love or a representation, any word that represents that will will bring you back into focus. Okay, so this really is about focus and yeah, getting that connection solidified and manifested and real. There's some really good things about Pisces, because Pisces rules creativity and art and imagination. And while Saturn moves through Pisces, I think we will be able to manifest this dream vision. It's about visions too. So look at, hey, there's Saturn. I have Saturn tattooed on me because I tell you, Saturn return. So if you have Saturn in Pisces as well, this is you want to be in my workshop. So what was I just talking about? Unconditional love, having an anchor to come back to. Okay, I lost my train of thought, but that's fine. So okay, I'll come back to that. It'll come back to me. Another beautiful theme about Saturn is Pisces is Pisces is a very healing energy, and it can be about cleansing. So if you've ever wanted to do a cleanse, a good time to do that would be when the moon is in Pisces. Just as a kind of a little hot tip, but this Saturn moving through Pisces, I think, will help us to recognize and realize and maybe be informed of just how harmful. I'm really trying to keep this on a positive note, but there are things to know. This is about Saturn. We got to get real. So things like chemicals and pesticides and toxins in our water. Pisces is a water sign. So anything that we're putting in our bodies, even breathing, things that are in the air, we want to cleanse that. And I think we're going to learn maybe through this transit how affected we are. Maybe we'll be feeling extra sensitive to these things. And I think there's going to be a lot of really beautiful manifestations. Again, that Saturn earthly energy, I think there's going to be a lot of beautiful manifestations and people and companies and technology that is committed to helping us to really cleanse our system. So I would certainly be paying attention to what you're putting in your body, on your body, around your body, you know, what you're drinking, what water you're showering in, what clothes you're wearing, you know, all of this stuff. I think we're going to really like feel it in our bodies. It's going to be like, okay, whoa, like this doesn't feel good to me. Like our sensitivity is becoming very real, I believe, through this transit. So knowing what is, what's cleansing, what's healing to you. And I think we're going to have a lot more people stepping into the sort of healer's realm. So some services that way. Oh, I was also talking about teachers. So finding a teacher, and maybe even connecting with, a leader of some kind, or just even learning for yourself how you can commit to your own spiritual practice. So you might not have the thing that you need on the first go, but or the person that you need or the teacher that you need, but Saturn will not only present you with obstacles and opportunities, challenges for growth, but it will also bring you the the leaders and the teachers and the healers and the helpers to get you through the thing. So bringing it back to my personal experience with Saturn return, I'm telling you, it was to the date, to the day that Saturn made like certain exact aspects with my Saturn, with my moon, like all this stuff. I found like a course that was helping me move through the exact challenge that I needed. And I just knew, I'm like, this is it. Like, and it was in reflection that I actually realized how hilarious Saturn was. Especially if you're about to move through your Saturn return and this is your first experience. So if you are ages like 28, 29, maybe 27, maybe 30 in there, 27 to 30, you're going to, well, not definitively, but there is definitely a possibility that things might feel out of your control at first, but there's a higher lesson there. So for me, when Saturn moved into Aquarius, so I was traveling in New Zealand, living my free, wonderful life, backpacking, March 29, 2020. And someone had booked flights for me to come home earlier than I desired. And where Saturn is in my chart is fourth house of home and family. And I was not happy, but upon reflection, I realized, oh, Saturn literally just moved into Aquarius like today, and brought me home, and it felt it was the pandemic or whatever just starting, but yeah, I wasn't happy with the situation, but I can see how, especially in the last 3 years, what that whole lesson. That was like the start of it. So yeah, worth knowing where Pisces is in your chart, because as of March 7th, this area of your life could feel like a challenge, but what's really helpful, okay, my phone keeps dying. What's really helpful is to know that Saturn's coming up. So I knew Saturn was moving into Aquarius, and I kind of knew it was my Saturn return, but I had been studying astrology, but not to the depths that I know it now. But it was once I realized, like, Saturn woke me up to even being able to commit myself to the studies of astrology, which is literally what I do. It was a soul remembering. It brought me back to my path, and Saturn will help you bring you back to your path. Okay, especially if you have Saturn in Pisces, or your sun in Pisces, or your moon in Pisces, or any other major planet. They're all major, but certainly those personal planets, even your Venus, Mercury, Mars, your Jupiter is important in this too, because Jupiter will expand those Saturn themes. But ultimately, Pisces in its best, Saturn is in its best, is like, okay, I know I'm going through this transit. I know I need to be connected to myself, my truth, my intuition, using my discernment. I would honestly, getting a morning practice or an evening practice, whatever it is, to just connect yourself to yourself, like plug in to quote unquote source energy, because that is a Pisces theme. Like literally, we got to feel it, we got to manifest it. Things like vision boards at this time, yeah, for real. Like, I think I spent like 40 minutes last night just in vision mode. So that was probably a little extreme on the Pisces. Like, it was like I was just sitting there like staring into space, like visioning things in my mind. Maybe a bit too long, but whatever. Eventually I fell asleep. It's better than scrolling on my phone. But I really feel that these visions are going to be so tangible, so real. I think Saturn's going to bridge that gap between like what's imagined and what's real. And I think we're going to find this like beautiful equilibrium of like and balance, and just and sort of beautiful space within reality of like, you vision it and it becomes, but you got to align yourself with this sort of higher energy of yourself. Like, I feel like we're all sort of stepping into, or we have the invitation, the doors are opening. Saturn's like, all right, let's bring this Pisces energy into realness again. I think some of the best things that we can do is keeping our body, our mind clear, and and that's going to help this sort of manifestation and bringing into reality this sort of unconditional imaginative space. And I think if your heart is in coherence with, yes, your mind, and your body is in coherence with the vision, like it can really come together in such a beautiful way. But I'm really looking forward to hosting a workshop on this because I want to go through all of the houses in your chart. So what we'll look at, where's Saturn, or sorry, where's Pisces in your chart? What area of your life is going to be most effective for the next 3 years? And I also want to look at the planets because I had such an intense experience with Saturn on my sun and my moon. And I think that it will just be so helpful. I like to think that I had the best, sort of, I like to think that I learned all my lessons with Saturn, but we'll see. But it's helpful. Like it helps me to understand that, things like commitment and schedule and structure and discipline and getting real with yourself is actually such a blessing instead of like avoiding your problems or avoiding doing that thing or procrastinating, or because Pisces is really about like, let's flow, let's just go with the flow, let's just do it. And then Saturn's like, you have a schedule, alarms up at 6 a.m., like let's do the stuff. So it's an interesting energy to come together. So I think it's like sort of a helpful balance of like earth and water, because I don't think we need to pick one or the other, but I think it's going to help us to like set proper boundaries, and within these boundaries we set for ourselves, it contains all that space for flow. But it's like a balance of this earth and water and sort of it's not so much masculine feminine because I wouldn't really, but it's in a way. So this is going to be such a beautiful 3 years. I can't wait to like do this IG live if Instagram is still here in 3 years. I don't really know, but just to reflect on what Saturn taught you and how did it help you to give yourself a state of reality that just feels perfect. Maybe not perfect, but just in such connection and coherence with your soul and all that is. There's so many ways to consider this energy. But yeah, really taking care of yourself. 100% take care of your body and all the things. So I think that's it. I mean, that's a nice little preview of this energy. I'm sure I'll come on again as more downloads come through about this. Saturn's my teacher. Saturn is like the best. Any questions on this? I know we've had a lot of people pop in and out. It's Sunday morning. For me, it's kind of a random time, but Saturn was like, go live. And I was like, okay. I also can't see too many comments at the moment, but I'll see. I just see some in and outs. But that's okay. Do you know where your Saturn is in your chart? Because not only will the area of Pisces be affected, but Saturn's always going to be giving you lessons to where it is in your natal chart. So even if you don't have Saturn in Pisces, like I'm still going to be working with where my Saturn is. Even though Saturn's moving out of Aquarius, I'm still going to be working with that energy. I now know that is energy I'm here to like master, because Saturn is really like, it's sort of this master teacher. So the area that you experience the most obstacles and challenge in your life actually is the like seed of what you can like be the best at and be able to teach others in that area, which is just like wild. I look at where Saturn is and I'm like, oh, really? Like I'm going to be the one that's going to teach people that? Okay. Meanwhile, it was like the thing I had least awareness around. But I get it now. This is astrology, man. It's just straight up facts. It's wild. Okay, I didn't see any questions, and if I did, if they did come through, I apologize. I just can't see it. But yeah, so let's reconnect. I'm sure I'll just have another little live. The fact that Saturn goes into Pisces on a full moon in Virgo just blows my mind, because Virgo is the opposite sign of Pisces. I don't know. There's something about that kind of just there's something there. So maybe I'll come on live and talk about that full moon, which will be March 7th. But for now, we have a new moon in Aquarius at 1 degree. So I think that's going to help just sort of, I don't know, something in connection with the way Saturn and Jupiter came together in Aquarius, like really anchoring in that energy and just like moving through like Aquarius, like, so we're still working with those final lessons. Like we've got another 2 months of this almost. Final lessons of Saturn moving through Aquarius. And I think this new moon will help us. Like, how did you learn? How did you grow? How did you innovate? How did you change? How did you connect to your true expression? Your authenticity, and how is that going to help humanity, and how can you continue to commit yourself to that? Okay, so that's that new moon. Maybe I'll come on again next week and we'll see. I'll be in Toronto, so probably not. But we'll see. Maybe Friday. And yeah, and sign up for my workshop if you want to go in depth. So that link is in the bio. It's a wait list right now. I'll release the details soon, but we're going to go even deeper and look at the specifics of where Saturn is in your chart and what lessons and growth and opportunities are you going to have over the next 3 years. So thank you so much. Hope you're having a wonderful Sunday, and yeah, we'll be back on here soon. Sending everyone so much love. Thank you.